Well, greetings again, everyone. Sorry I haven't brought a video here recently. I've been running into nothing but technical issues. I had got this Filmora that I'm trying once again to make a video, but all the other videos I've been making, they just wouldn't upload to YouTube. And I got a little frustrated, so I guess I just stop trying. You know, there's not much worse than being rejected, other than being ignored. Ignored is tough, you know, but when you can't even put something up there to be ignored, that gets a little tougher and a little more challenging. I've been having a lot of demonic attacks, things of that sort. And to quelch some of it, I decided, you know, because I heard that my name meant something other than "Toward Yahweh are my eyes," so I figured I'd ask Google, and as you can see up here, I typed this in there, and I encourage you to do the same to see if you get the same results. And if you don't, I'd like to know about it. I don't know if this is AI or something that has, or the little spiders in the internet that recognized me or something and just brought up this because of the type searches I do or whatever, or because it's me. I don't know. But anyway, I typed up in the search bar, "What does," and then in quotation marks, "Al-Yahnai," then mean? And all this came up, okay? And then I didn't even put in my last name. Please notice that. It's just Al-Yahnai. What's Al-Yahnai mean? And it intrigued me here, you know. It shows here the city of Abilene when I went there. Now, you could do a research and find out that after August 28th, 2008, at 5:30 p.m., when they held this council meeting, it shows here, Al-Yahnai Hawkins, Mr. Hawkins, made reference to the city's comprehensive annual financial report. And basically, I did bring that up, but the reason I brought it up is because the city had stole somewhere around $8 million, made it disappear. What they do is they'll go ahead and it's something the governments are not supposed to do, but they do it, and they hide it in their certified annual financial reports. They're CAFRs. What they do is they buy up stocks and bonds and things of this sort, so they actually start owning controlling interests or interests in corporations to make them go in the ways that they want them to go. And this isn't so much known by so many because each city, each town, each county, each state, as well as the country itself, okay, the United States of America Corporation, they buy up these stocks and bonds and such, and by what one of them acquires doesn't seem to make much. But when you've got all the government all put together and each one buys this amount and another buys that amount, pretty soon they've got controlling interest in these corporations. But what this was about was when I stood up there and I told them they were all criminals, they all needed to be put into prison. I recommended highly that they have a independent research done, a investigation, and put those that stole these monies, because what they were there for on that day was to raise the taxes, because after they stole the several $million, they said they were broke, so they had to raise the taxes. So they stole from everyone, and then they furthered in the stealing. But anyway, the interesting part, after this date, I don't know if they allow it now or not, but the city of Abilene actually stopped allowing the public to speak in their meetings. They took away the freedom of speech, and it was my fault apparently because I nailed them to the wall, which they did nothing about except burned me out again. Or that was a bulldozing they did to my church. After that, they came down and just bulldozed everything on me. I went down there to paint the place, and it was gone. And then I found something real interesting here. I was thinking I was rather ignored invisible. People couldn't see me. But then I found out a little bit differently. I saw this here and I'm like, what in the world is this? The United States for the United States Sea in benefit of E.J. Smith Construction Company versus this other individual. But I noticed that they had quoted me here from a different case that I went in, and I can't say I lose these cases. The information that I bring out is very imperative. It's usually constitutional or ecclesiastical law, these sorts of things. And the studies I do or have done had been quite extensive, and it was quite a shock for me to see here. You know, this is from the United States Court for Western District of Texas, San Antonio Division. And I had to scroll down in here to find out where I was mentioned, because basically what they're pointing out here, and you can see my name down here, Al-Yahnai Fountain Hawkins versus State number 11-04-00278-CR and so forth. But as you can see, I'm not pulling your legs. I've got, you know, my material in so many court records. It's, you know, rather unbelievable that a person that's not an attorney or anything of that sort, not a criminal, would be in court so many times and bring forth so much information. But what they've actually done is, in the court cases, like one, I had proved that 10 plaintiffs that were against me were using misappropriated public funds to file a fraud in the court. And that's basically what this here is about, except for this one here was on your constitutional rights to be able to travel freely without restriction in your vehicle, okay? And the information I brought out was concerning the laws that have been put into effect, but they're not enacted. See, the thing is, down here it mentions Vernon's. Vernon's is basically Texas law right here, prepared by Vernon's as their source of the laws of Texas. Vernon's routinely omits enacting language in its publication of the state statutes. Now, that wasn't my only argument. See, my argument is that Vernon's, and I don't know if they have it here in New York State or in Pennsylvania, but they usually will have a compilation of the laws into several volumes of books, and it will show you what the penalties and everything else are. But my argument is that the Vernon was a copyrighted book, and in order to use these things instead of just for educational purposes, okay, they actually use this private law against the people, and they put on all sorts of things onto you that don't even prove that the law exists. It simply is written into a copyrighted book. It's, you know, whether some want to call it nonfiction, some want to call it fiction. Very few want to call it fiction, but that's basically what it is. And they hold your nose to the grindstone from what's in the Vernons. And what was peculiar about this case anyway, you know, I mean, other than them using my studies, you know, which showed me they had to study pretty hard to find my cases, because they're usually pretty hidden. The judges don't want people to really see what's in there. And I told them many times, you know, that when you have a case that you look up and you can use, and it set a precedence. And the precedence is that the state's a fraud, and you know, so are the judges and such, using such fraudulent laws that are actually copyrighted without permission of the author. And there's penalties from the books there as well that haven't gone through the several houses and legislature and such to vote a bill in and then to have it enacted. Okay, and there's many laws out there that have not been enacted, and they have to be enacted in order for them to be actual law. And they're not even laws, they're statutes, they're codes, things of this sort. They're not even laws. They're just things that man uses to control the people. But anyway, it was on a reverse note, because actually through this case you lost your constitutional right to travel, because there was a jury of old people that was sleeping during during the jury trial. It's the only time I was allowed a jury trial, even though I paid for them and such. They don't let you usually have them, but they knew in order to get rid of your right to travel and not have to buy stickers and everything for your car, things of that sort, they would just get old people in there that have done it their whole life. They've always had their license, they've always done this, even though the Constitution says you don't have to. They believe you're supposed to. So they already had their mind figured out on their jury, because I didn't have my peers there. They didn't bring in anybody that was of my peers. They all figured, since they were born, and old enough to drive a vehicle, that they had to have their license, they had to have registrations, they had to have insurance and everything else up to par, so that they could operate with a privilege. And a privilege is something you pay for. It's getting a license means you have permission to sin. And that's what they did, was the judge allowed the jury to rule against your constitutional rights. And I don't know exactly what they were using this part here for. I didn't even read the whole thing. I was just kind of intrigued that they actually had looked up a state file record in the court and noticed, that I had brought out something that they actually used. And I'm thinking they was trying to do away with certain laws, constitutionalities, things of this sort, because of the work that I did that actually should have had the opposite effect, and we should have the right to travel. So anyway, I thought that was rather neat and interesting. I'm hoping that this comes out. I don't even know if this video is going to come out or not. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll just chew on that rejection again and try to figure out what's going on. But anyway, it's got all sorts of things on me in this Google search. It shows there's like 10 pages there. And I was hoping that somebody would just type in your browser there, what does Al-Yahnai mean? Put Al-Yahnai in quotations just like that, if you would, and see if it brings up the same page. Every time I bring it up, it's the same thing. But maybe if you do a search based on your prior searches and such, it might bring up something different. I don't know. But this was interesting because it shows that I'm not exactly invisible. They see me here, okay? It's got my name all over the place in these. It's quite intriguing. It just kind of lets me see that nobody really cares. It's not that I'm invisible, it's mostly that no one cares. But anyway, I'm hoping that this video came out. If it did, I'll try to bring another video out here shortly that talks about no partiality or respecter of persons with our Father or the King. And I'd like to go over some points on that, because it's not what most people think. It's not like, he accepts you the way you are and you can stay just that way. He accepts you as a murderer, and it's okay to be a murderer, because in heaven, you can murder your family members or whatever, and they'll feel no pain, they'll feel no sorrow. Some of these old wives' tales are just a little too much, and we need to get the truth out there the best we can. So until we meet again, and hopefully this will upload, we'll see. I just want to let you know that I do love you, I care about you. Sorry for not putting up more videos, but I got really discouraged trying to figure out how to get the videos up. So until we meet again, I say peace, and peace out.